Literally, I think the most moral thing that you can do with the Balenciaga situation is for the entire world to do this. At Balenciaga. No far-right moral panic. No, like, insane, this means that the QAnon is real, actually. This is what I want. I think this is literally, like, the morally correct way to handle it. Just because that's what sussy means. Yeah, you go, hey, Balenciaga. And if you want to, like, force them to make a corporate apology or whatever, f it, do it. I love corporate apologies, you know? However, a far-right moral panic happened. It's still happening. And ignoring that and pretending that this is just some, like, lefties defending Balenciaga shit is highly irresponsible. This is a disgusting video. If there's one thing that I hate more than anything else, okay, I really hate feeling like I'm beholden to people. It's why I don't like the constant, like, okay buddy Vosh spam posts or whatever. It actually irritates me because I feel like, you know, it's my stream. I kind of like the freedom it gives me. I don't really like scheduling. I just like doing whatever I want. I'm very selfish in that respect. Earlier, my man Zan, who never misses, by the way, posted a video called Destroying Shoehead's Live-Filled Response to me. Basically, there's some drama, and Shu blocked Zan. Zan called out Shu over a thing. I forget all the details. Yeah, okay. So now we're gonna look at the video. All right, let's do it. What? DM? Yes, that's right. Oh, DM also did a video, right, which released earlier. That's right. Demon Mama also never misses, except for whenever she and I have a disagreement, in which case she misses. Shoehead fans won't watch this, which, maybe at least one did. You can hope. Yeah. A 3-hour-long video. Okay, so we have... So, I chafed at the 28-minute-long video of shoes, but we have a 2- and 3-hour video, respectively. That's good. Yeah. Okay. Alright, sure. Okay. Zan is probably right, but shoes. But legitimately, I can't even think of that many... I can't think of any time that Zan's missed. Does Zan miss? I don't think Zan misses. You know... The point is, because I don't think I've ever had a public disagreement with Zan except over Minecraft. DM and I, it was over that pharmaceuticals? I don't even remember. I have such a bad memory. Okay. You can all tell I'm thrilled to be here, right? You can just, oh yeah. Okay, so anyway, if you'd ever watched a Drama Mama, you would know how in-depth DM's takedowns are. Well, judging by the length of the video, I would assume so. Okay, let's just get to it. Okay, so basically, Shu did something, and that means I have to talk about it, because everyone holds me to account for everything she's ever done. I don't know why this keeps happening. Alright, Shu video. Well, let's do it. Let's find out.
Today we are going...
Oh my god, it's Shu, but it's actually a person? That's crazy.
Hello everyone. Today we are going to be talking about the creepy Balenciaga photo shoot you may have heard of, how I helped accidentally kick off Balenciaga Gate, the bizarre defenses of the photo shoot, and how I lost friends over it. No, I'm not joking. This is going to be a wild one, so get comfy, get cozy. I made you some hot chocolate. Look, it's got marshmallows in it.
I don't like marshmallows. Already a big L from Shu. I like hot chocolate, but not marshmallows.
So for those of you who don't know, because I sure as hell did not before all of this, Balenciaga is a high-end fashion clothing brand that sells ugly shit like this for thousands of dollars. I personally do not buy Balenciaga clothing. I am not a filthy capitalist. I buy my clothes on Amazon, like a good socialist. Anyway, the company is currently under fire for their new holiday collection photo shoot. And when you see these photos, you will probably understand why. One was a little girl on a couch with a very worried, sad look on her face, surrounded by alcohol and holding a teddy bear that was wearing a full BDSM harness. There was other pictures of the girl laying...
Okay, I have to structure this properly just so we all know where we're coming from. Alcohol? Yeah, aren't there, like, wine glasses down here? This is a flask? That's not BDSM? Okay, I'm just going to ignore chat. Let's ignore chat. That's fine. It says H2O. It's a hip flask that says H2O. Do you get it? Like, do you get... Okay, yeah, we're just going to ignore chat on this. Okay, I do think the Balenciaga images are weird. That is a BDSM harness. I don't care if you're aware of some, like, esoteric other explanation. We're talking about what, like, the public perceives it as. There's always another way you can interpret basically anything. That's a BDSM harness. This is alcohol coated. These are literally wine and champagne glasses. If you disagree, you're stupid, and I'm sorry. That right there is like a hip flask. It's kind of weird. I don't think it's QAnon, pedo gate, red pill, whatever. But yeah, it's kind of weird. I've said this a million times. Let's go on.
A full BDSM harness. There was other pictures of the girl laying on the couch, as well as another shot of another said little girl on the bed surrounded by Balenciaga items, chains, and a whole ass leash. A little weird, a little sussy. Like, the pictures just gave you bad vibes.
That was the point of those photos. Vosh, it's at its most edgy. There's nothing pedo. Shut up and listen to what I say. I didn't say it was pedo. They're meant to be sussy. The point of these photo shoots are to make people uncomfortable. That's the whole point. Balenciaga, like a lot of corporate brands, do shock marketing. They try to incite, discomfort as a branding exercise. This happens literally all the time. This is a very sensitive time to be doing that with anything that even remotely resembles like child material. It's as simple as that.
But anyway, to make things even worse, right on their homepage, right next to that photo shoot, was a photo of a purse on a desk. Seems normal, right? But the only visible paper sticking out from under the purse, the only piece of paper with any text on it, conveniently right there, was a court case related to child pornography. Creepy. Coincidentally, 2 days before this all hit the internet,
That was a separate photo shoot, but it was there.
Balenciaga left Twitter. Not only did they delete their Twitter account, but they deleted every single photo off of their Instagram page.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
So I actually found all of this out because I saw a TikTok on my Twitter.
So I heard that apparently Balenciaga frequently does Instagram purges. I don't know if they frequently leave Twitter, but I think they do the Insta purges. I don't know if that's related necessarily to this. Okay, oh God, please chat. Please chat. If you can just hold your shit together, by the end of this, we will all be happier. If you can just calm down and not inject your opinions into this and let me do this. Please. Stop. Okay? The thing that happens every time is you guys get riled up to attack Shu, so you make bad criticisms, and that shit sets me off. I don't like seeing people do that with Nazis, let alone Shu, somebody that I'm actually on good terms with, okay? So if you despise me being on good terms with Shu, if you want to see that come to an end, then it's in your best interest to shut up and let me offer the criticisms, okay? Because I can do it better than you can.
Twitter timeline by the streamer Brittany Venti, and she was talking about this. And I couldn't believe it, so I went to Balenciaga's website and
Hold on.
I saw a TikTok on my Twitter timeline by the streamer Brittany Venti.
Nazi. Not just streamer, Nazi. Or at the very least, white nationalist fascist. Just, yeah. Kind of important to pull that through, I think.
And she was talking about this. And I couldn't believe it, so I went to Balenciaga's website, and lo and behold, it was real. The creepy photo shoots, the CP document, everything was right there. So I made my own tweet about it, and this tweet winded up absolutely popping off. I had no idea the entire internet started talking about it, because once a tweet of mine starts to blow up, I just mute it and just move on with my day. My tweet was all over mainstream media. New York Post even called me a, quote, eagle-eyed social media watchdog. Okay? This spiraled completely out of control. People were burning their Balenciaga items.
There is just no PR team that is going to get them out of this one.
Making rap songs against Balenciaga.
Now we're Balenciaga. They keep coming for our kids, now we need to follow.
Okay.
Designer brands and they high, I know hell is hot.
Even vandalizing Balenciaga stores. Also, just so everyone knows, I am not suicidal, just in case news comes out that I was found with 3 designer bullets in the back of my head. And I don't think Brittany Venti is either, so if either of us, we do not have information that will lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton.
Okay, I'm just gonna get right to this. Okay, all right. You guys know how in the past I've talked about how there's a difference between people's political opinions and the actual outcomes of the stuff that they say and produce. Here's the issue, okay? In terms of Shu's political opinions, she is a Bernie Sanders supporter through and through. Trust me, I've known her longer and closer as a friend than you guys have. She is authentically and sincerely, as a person to her heart, pro-trans, pro-gay, not a communist or whatever, but it authentically, like, ideologically aligned with Bernie Sanders and I guess the general movement that he inspired. Like, you can fit her in that category. That is the case. However, that is not a person's positions are not a full reflection of the actual outcome that they have as a public figure. So here's the thing that I'm going to do, okay? I'm going to talk about all the ways in which this video and her behavior embolden the far right, even if those aren't her intentions or positions. It is going to take a while. That is what we're going to do. I've said this before with other people, right? There are other people whose positions and behavior don't align. Destiny pals around with neo-Nazis and has a community that basically just like coddles them and rehabilitates them. But as an actual, like, in terms of his opinions, like, he would align with, like, probably left of center on most things that he actually believes. It's about people's behavior, right? Like, whether you say he was being honest or not, Sargon of Akkad would say that he is like a liberal, progressive, women's rights, whatever, while doing the whole Gamergate thing. Like, what people actually believe. Now, Sargon's an idiot and also very disingenuous, and some say there are things wrong with Destiny too. But what we're really talking about here aren't people's positions. This is one of the reasons why it really frustrates me when people in my community are like wrong on this, you know? I'm gonna reveal some shit that, okay, the tea is hot. I'm gonna reveal shit you guys have never heard anywhere else. The secret relationship between me and Shu, okay? For years, Shu and I have been good friends. She's always been really nice to me, even back when I was a really small content creator, in a totally non-transactional way, without any, like, benefit to her, like, at all, really. She's just been really, like, nice, which I've always respected, because this has always been like a pretty hostile space for me. Like, you guys understand, you know I make very few friends out here. A lot of people have accused me of being like too charitable to Shu as a product of us being friends. I don't apologize for being friends to her, because with her behavior to me, she has certainly earned that, because she's always been really good, like, just to talk to, and like reliable, like, you know, I don't know. It's just a friend. It's a thing, being a friend. But I think there's some legitimacy to the idea that my, like, being friends with her has, even if, like, my position is, oh yeah, you can dislike Shu if you want, like, I definitely treat her differently than other people, you know? So, okay, we'll get to it. But you guys have to be on your best behavior, all right? Because, like, here's a thing, right? Here we go with Vosh acting like Shu doesn't know exactly what she's doing, just patronizing as from decoy tricks in chat, okay? You have never left your house. Let's not even talk about not knowing Shu. You know, you've never spoken to another human, okay? You're an experiment, all right? You're living in a computer simulation. You have no idea. For God's sake, please, let me handle this. I swear, because you people are so f***ing horny to jump down my throat that every argument here turns into one between me and chat. Because you know I want to argue with you guys, right? I f***ing love arguing with you people. I see a bad take in chat and I jump on that shit. Don't give me any bait. Just let me do this. Starting right away. So, right off the bat, we've got a couple of issues in terms of, again, not position-wise, but in terms of, like, what the outcome of this rhetoric and behavior is. Emboldening the right. Not to, like, leaving aside the fact that her initial characterization of people's response to Balenciaga left out the fact that it was the far right who jumped in it, not people. Leaving aside the fact she didn't mention that Britney is a Nazi. This is relevant info. You know, moral panics coming from, like, the far right are different from just, oh, people are concerned about. It is a critical distinction, you know? And then she jumps into this, oh, haha, if I get assassinated. Again, this isn't about positions. Nothing she's saying here is explicitly far right, or even, by the way, explicitly incorrect. I've made jokes about, you know, oh, bullet in the back of my head, whatever. But as we're going to see, there's kind of a pattern of, like, I don't think Shu's far right, but holy shit, does she go out of her way to not make them angry with her. You know? But we'll get to it.
Best part about this, though, has to be I was fact-checked by Twitter, and this is what they said. Although Shu often makes comments to cause amusement or laughter, this is an authentic Balenciaga marketing photograph. It contains an excerpt from the US Supreme Court opinion in United States v. Williams, which upheld a part of federal child pornography law. I've never seen one of these fact-checker things just be like, fact-check true.
That was pretty funny.
I know Shu likes to get a little silly, but she's actually serious this time. I also love that it just says Shu. Like, Twitter and I are just on a first-name basis now. Now, you're probably asking, Shu, why would a high-end fashion brand pull this, like, Where's Waldo shit? Well, there are a few theories. The most obvious one is to just look edgy and subversive. Nothing like a good old controversy to get eyes on your brand. So if this was some kind of pathetic attempt at an attention grab, they sure got attention and much more. I wouldn't put it past corpos to do some weird attention whoring like this, and I definitely wouldn't put it past the fashion industry. The other theory is that this is just a little wink, a little nod to the other freaks in the industry. Think the Wilhelm scream, but for like little St. James tourists. Finally, Balenciaga, the brand itself, came out and apologized. We sincerely apologize for any offense our holiday campaign may have caused. Our plush bear bags should have not been featured with children in this campaign. We have immediately removed the campaign from all platforms. We apologize for displaying unsettling documents in our campaign. We take this matter very seriously and are taking legal action against the parties responsible for creating the set and including unapproved items for our spring campaign photo shoot.
You might notice that in this post from Balenciaga, they seem to be referring to the bit that had the Supreme Court case document that referred to the child pornography case. They don't seem to be referring to the kids with the teddy bears, because, again, to me, the Supreme Court case purse on desk thing was a lot worse than the kids with the teddy bears thing. I understand the goal of the original two, the kids with the teddy bears, was to make them make people uncomfortable. Like, the point is to sow discomfort. The problem is that, like, the document on the desk doesn't sow discomfort. It's just, if you notice it, it's a CP reference. You know what I mean? Like, there isn't really an emotional context to having that Supreme Court document on the desk. There's not really, like, an artistic license. There's not really, like, an ulterior reasoning or motivation outside of just, if you notice it, it's like, oh, so that's what that is. It doesn't produce any artistic value. So to me, that seems like the thing that they're more jumping on. Now, Balenciaga did initially say that they'll be pursuing legal action against the photographer, but since then they've actually revoked that. They've actually said they're not doing that because the photographer was not the person who chose the sets. It was somebody at Balenciaga.
We strongly condemn abuse of children in any form. We stand for children's safety and well-being.
With Balenciaga facing a firestorm over a series of disturbing new ads, all eyes and ears were on their highest profile partner for comment. Kim finally released a statement on
Wait. Would I get DMCA for TMZ? Pause. No DMCA Reno.
Sunday, calling herself disgusted and outraged.
Meanwhile,
Vosh, you're unironically insane if you sincerely think the court doc was nothing but an unfortunate coincidence. It's literally just public domain text. Ah, yes, the 10 to 12 public domain texts out there, of which one just happens to be about child pornography. Just a very normal thing for people to randomly print documents to use in a high-profile photo shoot and publicly display them without actually checking any of the words or content. I often do this. When I'm taking photos for a multi-billion-dollar fashion brand, I'm always just hitting random. I'm feeling lucky on the document prints and just throwing that out there, you know? This is something I often do. Calm down.
her ex-husband, Kanye West, after going on InfoWars and saying, quote, "There are a lot of things I love about..."
The case was an anti-abuse ruling. Why is anyone making that a big deal? Oh, holy shit. Oh my god. Oh my god, dude. Me reading Mein Kampf on the bus and shaking my head enthusiastically to show everyone I disapprove of what's written in it, you know? Every time I turn the page, I go, While, yeah, just holy shit. Just...
about Hitler.
Hey.
Ran defense for Balenciaga.
And now all of a sudden, everyone is so outraged and focused on Balenciaga, but then we're still aborting our kids. We're still fornicating. But, oh, we don't wear Balenciaga now. Shut the hell up.
So fellow paranoid schizophrenics started digging and found more creepy things in the photos from Balenciaga. And this has spiraled into a much bigger conspiracy. This is the thing with conspiracies, though. They're always rabbit holes. When there's so many things that are unexplained about the world, and people just kind of feel helpless and powerless, people understandably start to look for answers elsewhere. And a lot of people took this Balenciaga thing as just kind of the rich and powerful doing what they do in secret, now out in the open.
Not people, the far right. I don't understand this framing. I don't get it. You don't have to be like a sociologist reading out like the participation in this moral panic to understand this is a far right thing. People broadly may be upset with Balenciaga, but there is undeniably a far right character to the way this conspiracy has taken shape, like overwhelmingly so. The framing here makes it seem as though it's a totally bipartisan framing when she went over like a MAGA rap about Balenciaga, and the initial info came from Brittany Venti, you know? Now, again, the reason why this bothers me is that the far right has run with this as a, like, QAnon, blood libel, liberal elite, queer pedophile conspiracy thing. That's the line they're running with. Now, I know that as the video goes on, she'll address this, and I'll wait for that to go over all of it. You know, we'll see if this gets contextualized later, because it well might be. I'm just saying, like, at the moment, that's the feeling that I'm getting from this.
Do I think this is some kind of Pizzagate thing where Balenciaga's like hiding children in their basement? Do I think they are literally
Well, it's worth noting that the Pizzagate thing was also a made-up far-right... Like, the way she framed that made it... Like, the Pizzagate thing was proved or something, but it was also an insane far-right moral panic that emboldened QAnon types.
trafficking children? I don't think that. I don't know that. I've never claimed to know that. What I do know is that this is a huge up from a billion-dollar company. And when a billion-dollar company up, who better to come to their defense than the progressive left? Can we stop pretending Shu is an ally yet?
Right off, this framing is Shu. Shu, you know goddamn well that a solid half of the political powers that be in this country are on a full-on, like, the entirety of progressive queer culture is about pedophilia bent. The idea that thinking you're emboldening them when you are is defending Balenciaga is just insane. That is absolutely not the case. This is not about protecting Balenciaga. It's about protecting queer people from the framing that right-wingers immediately ran with that you didn't, for some reason, shut down in this tweet thread.
Shu On-Head belongs in a prison cell for hate speech. Shu herself is basically a terrorist enabler at this
You might notice that these messages that she's going through have nothing to do with defending Balenciaga as a company.
point. You are a Nazi. Shu is literally just a Nazi. Yeah, Shu is a Nazi. Shu On-Head is a fascist and a danger to our community. This is your daily reminder that Shu On-Head is a Nazi. I'm sick of Shu On-Head. She needs to go. No more. I think that if a button to deplatform her existed, we should push it this instant. Do you think reporting her vids would do anything? Hate speech and all? How about we mass report her?
I do want to point out, by the way, that once you're a reasonably large content creator, you can construct the image of a mass cancellation campaign by, like, screenshotting tweets and YouTube comments pretty easily. Like, of someone of my size, like, I could do this with literally thousands of comments that have just been made in the past week or so. I could make hours-long video if I wanted to edit all that shit together, which I don't. But you all know, I mean, you've seen those comments and tweets.
Twitter. Fuck Shu. This crosses a line. Shu is a cum-dump enabler for fascist violence. Who'd expected anything else from a Nazi bimbo hag? She's fundamentally...
You guys are very sexist about her. You got... Okay, here we go. Here's my enlightened centrist kicker, okay? You guys are very weird about Shu. Every time she comes up, people get really sexist about her. Like, in this chat, in the Reddit, it's extremely weird. It, like, legitimately, like, it's actually weird. It would be like if there was, like, a... like, black progressive who, like, held a lot of water with the far right, and I kept seeing you guys say, like, weird shit about black... Like, it's really weird, okay?
The enemy and should always be treated as such. People like Shu and Matt Walsh are the types of people I believe committing acts of violence against is morally justified. Now, I just need to make this clear that this is in no way a...
I just hate how you coddle her on stream. Well, shit, dude, that doesn't justify being sexist. Calm the down. That's on you.
Representation of the entire left online. Most of the people who follow me are left-wing, and they agreed that, yeah, this photo shoot was really weird. The people who are mad about this are from a pretty small bubble, but nevertheless, lo and behold, I was apparently canceled. Now, I use the term...
I know, once again, it's for some strange reason, Shu is not mentioning the far right here at all. Those people were calling her out because her tweet got picked up by far right Twitter, and a ton of far right people were in the comments agreeing with it and immediately running with their own conspiracism. Like, is she not going to say, you know, hey, the reason they were mad is because I ended up emboldening the far right in an ongoing, like, conspiracy theory against queer people? Because that's an objectively correct framing of the situation. Even if she didn't mean to or intend to, or state anything objectively incorrect, she did embolden the far right conspiracy. If that's not mentioned...
canceled sort of sarcastically because I really wasn't canceled. It's kind of impossible to cancel me in general because I have 4 different fan bases and they all hate each other and me. And a lot of you guys watching this probably didn't even know all of this happened, but it was just very weird and I need to talk about this. Siobhan had on her way to once again use her massive platform to provide the neo-Nazis in her audience with fodder they can use to justify the murder of gay people, but this time the day after another anti-gay terror attack.
See, that's true. That's from Xander Hall, by the way. That's a true tweet. Shu, you could, I know you'll never discuss this with me because you don't like direct confrontation, but if you discuss this with me, you would lose. And you are losing right now to me saying this because I'm objectively right. He was right. There's no way about it. You may think there are like mitigating circumstances. Ah, yes, and the quote tweet, the tweet he's referring to down here, was Pedro L. Gonzalez saying, "We are up against demons. The groomer problem is real. It's not a dumb culture war issue. These people want to their kids in one way or another and they think it's funny." That person down there is flat out just saying all queer people, all progressives, are part of a child conspiracy. Right there. Pedro's a friend of Shu's. Yeah, I don't want to follow police or anything, but I bet you if I go to their Twitter, followed by, yeah, Shu. Shu has bragged about giving him talking points for Tucker Carlson. Shu, okay, I'm willing to give leeway here on account of familiarity, but a total unwillingness to acknowledge why the left is freaking out here is essentially just collaboration with the far right, regardless of what your actual specific positions are. Shu operates on the politics of, like, the people who are criticizing me are the ones I will react to. To an extent, everyone does this, of course. This isn't just a Shu thing. But, like, do we not see the broader problem here? Vadim goes into the details of how they know each other. Vadim, I don't know how much I can trust Vadim's perspective on Shu. Wasn't he weird before? Maybe he wasn't. I don't know. I'll look at this later.
I'm sorry. Where are the gays? My post had absolutely nothing to do with LGBT people. The Balenciaga thing in general had nothing to do with LGBT people.
Then why were people you follow talking about it? Shu, don't play dumb. It's not about what you say.
Balenciaga thing in general had nothing to do with LGBT people. Where did this come from? This guy took a...
The far right. Are you really going to pretend Zan was the one who made up the LGBT comparison? Like Zan just produced that out of like he just constructed that?
Random response to my tweet and implied I was responsible for someone else's opinion and therefore fueling hate crimes against gay people. With LGBT people. Where did this come from? This guy took a random response to my tweet.
That's an oomphy, Shu. I know you have a lot of oomphies, but come on. How many followers does this guy have? 100,000? This person's been on Tucker Carlson? Not really a rando.
And implied I was responsible for someone else's opinion and therefore fueling hate crimes against gay people.
Yes. Yes, this is how information works. If you popularize an idea or promote it or broadcast it. Okay, I'm not going to even entertain this. This is f***ing stupid. Shu, are you playing dumb here? You know perfectly goddamn well how this works. The far right latched onto your tweets and immediately turned it into fuel for the fire of the anti-queer, like, pedo groomer bullshit that they're doing. Why are you pretending you don't understand this? Why are you pretending this association was made by Zan?
I'm just confused how Balenciaga posting an ad of kids holding stuffed animals and fetish gear turned into LGBT groomer discourse. Did I miss something? Look at the quote tweets and replies to her tweet thread from her followers. I have 500,000 followers on Twitter. I have over 1 million subscribers.
No, f this, dude. No, absolutely f this. Stop. We are way the f too close to death camps to be pulling this I'm not responsible for my followers' behavior shit. This isn't about being responsible for your followers. This is in an era where the entire far right has completely thrown their weight behind the queer groomer conspiracy. You posting something that, again, the post itself in a vacuum, I don't think was wrong. Balenciaga did do sussy shit. I don't think the post in a vacuum was wrong or harmful. But then Unfortunately, life is complicated. The far right rolls with it and turns it into this, the fuel for the conspiracy. And then to not only address or condemn that immediately in that thread, I don't know how Shu could have seen the tens or hundreds of thousands of far right people clearly making this about queer people and not thrown up in her mouth. I have no idea how she can look at that. But Shu does spend like an awful lot of time like habitually communicating with far right people. So I don't know if she just like pretends it doesn't happen or she ignores it. I don't know if because she's locked in like the tradwife block now. I mean, by being bi, I hope she understands there are literally laws being passed right now by the people who are agreeing with her that would make talking about her sexuality illegal in school up to 18. Like this isn't an environment where you can just throw shit out there, and not like, and just like absolve yourself of the consequences of any responsibility. It's not. That's not like an opinion either. This isn't like a light disagreement.
On YouTube, I am not the retard wrangler. There were a few people, not that many, who took my tweet and ran with their own narrative of it. I cannot control the
What? Why is she not calling out the far right? Some people who took their own direction? What the do you mean? It was a huge wave of majority far right people. Why aren't you mentioning the direction they took it in? Like, see, posting the Balenciaga shit and not following it up with a condemnation of the far right attention, that to me, this can be like irresponsibility. The framing in this video feels like malice.
opinions of other people. And a lot of these people aren't even in my audience. They're just random people on Twitter who found my tweet because it went viral.
Shu, this isn't content creator drama. Shu, I know you're listening to me either right now or in the future. This isn't content creator drama. We're not just YouTubers. We have public audiences. There are outcomes to our behavior. The words we speak resonate with huge numbers of people. This is not, oh, I've got so many followers. I don't even, this is like Weimar Republic, like signal boosting a giant story about like some Christian kid getting hurt. And then instantly the Nazi media takes it and starts talking about Jews. And later, when the left is like, yo, Shu, what the you're like, whoa, the left's trying to cancel me for calling out this murder and dismemberment of this one Christian kid. Some people might have taken it in some other direction. I don't know. But like, it's not like this is a deliberately bad faith framing of the situation. If this was meant to be good faith, why are you not pointing out the reasons they're upset?
That is how a public forum works. If someone is egregiously being homophobic or harassing people in my replies, I'll just block them. There's nothing else I can do. What do you want me to do?
Publicly in that tweet thread, call out the far right for what they're doing, and in your subsequent video, acknowledge the actual harm that was done. That's it. That's all you have to do. You're not just a random forum poster. You can just condemn it with the same platform that you used to spread it to begin with.
About the opinions of other people. Why don't you focus on what I said and did? Is it because—
No. Shu, I know you know this. We are too close. This is not about you. Get over yourself. This is not some, hysterical left freaked out over my, it's not. This isn't, it's not your personal content or branding. You understand. I know you know this because you're taking selfies with Blake Masters. I know you know what the far right are like. I know you know they exist. You're not in a bubble. You interact with more people across the political spectrum than almost anyone, more than anyone else I know. You know what's going on right now. You cannot just be the oops tee-hee arbiter of far-right politics. The least you could do is in this video explain why the left is angry. Like if you could say, hey, and I understand why lefties are freaking out because the far right immediately launched off with this tweet. And again, there's still some stuff in the video to go and we'll get to that. But I do think even if it's presented later, you need to front load that shit. But we'll see.
because I said and did nothing wrong? I mean this with the most respect possible. Posting this a day after a homophobic terror attack that happened because the trans drag groomer scare comes off in very bad taste. I think choosing to bring this to light right after the shooting is phenomenally poor taste. She went ahead throwing queers under the bus right after a mass shooting to cater to her homophobic audience. There was a mass shooting in a gay club in Colorado a few days before this Balenciaga thing broke. And because there was a shooting at a gay nightclub, I can't talk about pedophilia.
Holy shit. Shu, you f***ing retard. Listen, you either are or you pretend. If you sincerely think that's what's happening here, do I even need to expend energy, like, explaining the problem here? Shu, you are so attached to your infantile free speech extremist bullshit, where the greatest crime in the universe is criticizing you and the things you say, that you're incapable of understanding or at least acknowledging the broader context of what's going on here. It was not you talking about pedophilia. It was a far-right moral panic that you contributed to. Listen, it happens. Last year, during the annual drag pride show, Kink at Pride discourse, I said some stuff that I later came to regret. I think that there were some issues I was reactionary on, and I did contribute to some reactionary tendencies. You know what? That shit happens. That's fine. The difference is, I didn't then spend the rest of my life pretending that everyone who had a problem with me only did so because they hate my free speech, and because they're all, like, pro-pedophilia, or whatever the framing we're going for here. The people who took issue with my behavior back then did so because my framing was such that I enabled a narrative of irresponsible child predation at Pride, which isn't a thing that happens. It's not a thing that happens. There's no statistical evidence to indicate this is any more a problem than children being predated on in any other, like, public event. I mean, that stuff happens everywhere, of course, but it's not a disproportionate problem. It's not a Pride problem. Kink at Pride isn't a problem. I mean, maybe there's some people being extra wacky, but again, you can apply that to literally any situation, so it's not really, like, a specific fair criticism. But I didn't then go on to pretend like, you know, oh, yeah, this is some coordinated left effort to cancel me because they hated how I called out pedophilia. Because that's not what you're doing here, Shu. If you actually let's be real, Shu, if you gave a about pedophilia, then you would go to any one of the innumerable websites that talk about the actual ways in which you can help mitigate child sexual abuse and help victims of child sex trafficking. And none of them are fueling far-right conspiracies like the Wayfair cabinet, Pizzagate, Balenciaga shit. None of this helps anyone. It doesn't. You're not going to fix anything. None of this changes. None of this solves anything. No children are being saved. The best thing that you can do is promote, hey, child sex education. One of the #1 things shown to actually reduce child sexual abuse. And by the way, something opposed by all the people who freaked out over the tweet you posted. You created and contributed to an element of a moral panic led by people who are looking for ways to mathematically worsen child sexual abuse. But do you talk about this? No. Instead, you pretend that leftists who are concerned with the far-right moral panic are actually going after you because you had the audacity to go after pedophilia? Come on.
What? To shitpost the LGBT community on f***ing Trans Day of Remembrance is so disrespectful, I don't even know what to say. Same vibe as criticizing veterans on Veterans Day. Let me get this straight. Criticizing a fashion brand for pedobaiting on Trans Day of Remembrance is the same as criticizing veterans on Veterans Day?
It's not. That was a dumb comparison. So I'll just leave that one aside.
Bro, you don't even need the far right at this point. You're doing their
Now the far right is mentioned, 11 minutes in.
job for them. What the f***? Even if I saw it from their perspective, like even if I removed my brain and replaced it with a little toy monkey with symbols or whatever they have going on up there, even if I saw it from their point of view, if the issue they have with all of this is that I shouldn't be talking about this.
Shu, this is such a standard response, isn't it? That when somebody does something wrong or says something stupid or it gets blown out into the wrong way or whatever, and then like in response to my attempted cancellation, they want to silence me. They don't want me to talk. It's just like the standard thing that comes out, you know?
At a time where gay groomer rhetoric is popular, why aren't they mad at Balenciaga for doing an ad like this at the time the gay groomer thing is popular?
Even if we were to accept that these two things are equivalent, and that you know, for some reason, they should criticize, like, they can't criticize you because they have to criticize Balenciaga. The critical difference here is that Balenciaga is a multi-billion-dollar fashion company who already did the press release. The attention was given to it by you. The far-right framing was given to it by you. You are someone who can be reached and talked to. In terms of getting angry at stuff online, attacking Balenciaga would be like getting mad at the state of Iran. As opposed to, say, a far-right commenter in the United States who said that the woman who got beaten to death by the moral police officer deserved it because she was a slut. The level of proximity dictates the likelihood of actually going at people. And this is a bullshit deflection as well, because you could run this with anything. Oh, why are you getting mad at me for promoting this bill? I'm not the one who wrote it. Why aren't you getting mad at Senator so-and-so? And then, oh, why are you mad at Senator so-and-so? It was actually the party whip and strategist who came up with the idea of promoting this strategy. Why aren't you going after them? You can always pass the buck. At the end of the day, you still made a mistake, and you're continuing to make it in this video. This video is worse than what you did on Twitter. It's not a valid deflection. Especially since, again, like, going after Balenciaga in this respect does not, like, protect children in any fashion whatsoever.
Why aren't they directing their anger at the brand? Why are they shooting the messenger? The worst part about this is that this tweet came from a YouTuber who I've been friends with for years. Why is this person, who I thought was my friend, doing this unhinged Stretch Armstrong reach?
Off. I like how in this picture you clip out the friend and oomphy of yours who's been on Tucker Carlson, who was directly linking it to queer people. How is it a reach when he's just pointing out the response of hundreds of thousands of people who jumped onto the tweets that you made? And how is this... This is such a fake weaponization of friendship here. You blocked Zan, not the other way around. You might block me after this. And yeah, Zan has been getting death threats from far-right people for days now, who have been saying, you know, you're not safe, don't go outside at night, you're a pedophile, blah, blah. All he did was point out that a ton of far-right people jumped on this, the M2, as a way of promoting the anti-queer conspiracy, and that you have enabled that and done nothing to mitigate that whatsoever, which is completely correct. This tweet is completely correct.
To imply I am responsible for the murder of LGBT people. This isn't how you would treat a friend. This isn't criticism. This isn't a joke. This is disgusting.
It's not a joke. It is criticism. And yeah. Shoot, you don't have to do anything yourself to contribute to the harm of queer people. At all. You realize that, right? Like, if you go back into the any pre-genocide period, any point in time in any country, in any culture, with any group of people, before a historical genocide takes place, there are plenty of people who, without directly promoting any of the beliefs or institutions that were involved in the coming genocide, nonetheless enabled it by promoting adjacent ideas. We see this all the time with the centrists, with the enlightened skeptics, with the libertarians, who ostensibly, nominally, don't agree with the ideologies that they bolster, but nonetheless end up doing the same thing. Think of, for example, Bill Barr, right? That's the name, right? Bill Barr? He's the guy I'm thinking of, right? He's the guy who has the talk show. He did the thing. Yeah. Bill Maher. No, not Bill Burr. Bill Maher. I was in between those two. Bill Maher. Mayor? Is it Mayor? Why would you not type it phonetically? Maher? Mar? It's Mar? Okay, thank you. I don't know why a bunch of people started spamming Maher. Whatever. Anyway, Bill Maher. Bill Maher is not, you know, a far-right guy, according to him and some other people. However, he has talked about trans people as a social contagion on his show. He's talked about how Gen Z has so many queer people in it that if you keep by the current rate of growth, eventually all humans are going to be queer or whatever. He's talking about it like it's a social contagion. Now, Bill Maher may not personally want to do a trans genocide. I don't think that he does. However, he is spreading the social contagion rhetoric, which is exactly what people who want to kill trans people believe. Bill Maher may not personally believe in the trans death camps or whatever, but by promoting the ideology that leads to it, he's nonetheless complicit and the blood would be on his hands if anything like that were to happen. He may be indignant about that, and you know what? People like that tend to take it to their grave. People like Bill Maher go their entire lives without ever acknowledging what they've done. This happens all the time. Nobody wants to take responsibility for the outcomes of their behavior. But the world is built on the outcomes of people's behavior. And a lot of that behavior is not deliberate. The world is entirely built in it.
Disgusting. I just don't understand, like, if you had a problem, why didn't you come to me in private? Why did you have to make it into some public sideshow, epic dunk, for the world to see? Maybe this is karma, because
I don't... You did something publicly, he responded publicly. At least you can't say that about me, because I certainly talked to her about this.
dropped friends over politics before. Because honestly, I can't find any other explanation for this. But this wasn't even political.
None at all?
Like, I couldn't think of an optically worse thing to drop someone over. Like, I know you used to be right-wing.
Contribution to a far-right moral panic is actually a pretty legitimate reason to be upset with somebody. I thought Zan DM'd her and didn't respond.
Nazis in her audience with fodder they can use to justify the murder of gay people, but this time the day after.
Oh yeah, I know that. I thought this would be evidence that he DM'd her.
Personally, I can't relate, but not everything related to pedophilia has to do with gay people.
Well, shoo. If only there wasn't an entire half of the political wing of this country that believes that the two are inimicably intertwined. Who all did she keep that tweet up? She might have deleted it by now, but I want everyone to fully understand that there is no ambiguity when it comes to the reception the Balenciaga tweet got. It is not... Oh yeah, here it is, from November 20th. 128,000 likes, 11.2 thousand quote tweets. If you go through all this, and I'm not the best one to like scroll through all of it because I'm friends with progressives, so they're gonna show up at the top. There is an overwhelming like far right. In fact, I don't know if I can think of a popular far right pundit who did not respond to this. Overwhelmingly in line with a with the like it's part of like the queer pedophilia stuff. I mean shit, it got retweeted by Libs of TikTok, the terrorist account. There's Cernovich, Liz Wheeler in the comments, Jackson Hinkle, who's a Nazi. I wish there was a way to sort replies to a tweet by likes. I don't know why there isn't. Twitter sucks. Maybe Elon Musk taking over it is a good thing. Because, like, it's so shit anyway. There are actually so many services on Twitter that it's amazing they don't exist.
Shu needs to stop with the conspiracy posting. Ah yes, the conspiracy. The conspiracy that the fashion industry is f***ed up and weird. The conspiracy that the powerful elites are abusing children.
Shu, it is conspiracy posting. You can defend it on those grounds. But it is conspiracy posting. Like, the implication of your posts were 100% that this is some kind of, like, you know, part of the I mean, you just said that there. Like, what you're describing is a conspiracy. Like, you can just acknowledge that. It's fine.
That conspiracy. The worst part is she pretends to be gay so she can yell homophobe when you call her out. I'm convinced Shu has no real political opinions and just says/believes whatever sounds good to her. Isn't that what an opinion is? Begging people to finally realize Shu is literally—
Well, no. Because if you have real political convictions, sometimes those lead you to outcomes which aren't, like, good. Like, don't immediately feel intuitively good. Like, sometimes they might lead you to hard truths that you have to acknowledge. That might be a bit of a self-report there. The idea that, like, having political opinions is the same as just saying what you think at the moment.
just right-wing. Shu is a conservative, no matter how many lefties try to say otherwise. There's a term coined by Lindsay Ellis that I think fits Shu. She's a diet Nazi. Shu on Head is a right-wing propagandist. She is likely paid to be so either directly or indirectly. I f***ing hate Shu. She's not a leftist. She's a fascist who wants healthcare. Does this look like a fascist to you? She needs to be kicked.
Thank you.
out of the left like yesterday. She is a fascist. If you're denying it at this point, you are just a simp. Shu On-head is a right-wing paid propagandist infiltrating leftist spaces. She's a calculated and insincere plant, and she needs to be excommunicated. We need to boot Shu from the left. She isn't a leftist. At this point, we just have to not let Shu exist on the left anymore. Inevitably, she is going to leave the left, and it will not be surprising. So first of all, if I was going to leave the left over left-wing people being mean to me, I would have left the left like 8 years ago. I know it's hard for these people to understand because their extent of politics is quite literally Discord servers and Reddit communities. You cannot be kicked out of opinions. Like, I could call myself a right-winger right now, but I would be the shittiest right-winger ever.
I do want to say, though, that she is objectively correct on this one point. This obsession with whether or not somebody is in or out of the left is infantile, and it betrays people's obsession with social spaces. You cannot be admitted to or removed from a political ideology. No one has any control over that. You can consider her what you want, but the idea of, like, when is she going to leave the left? The term leave the left refers to a very specific and cringy kind of, like, coming out video for conservatives. It doesn't refer to, like, the actual process of crossing a line. There is no line. It can't possibly exist. But a lot of people are obsessed with that. This is one of the reasons why my greatest triggers, I hate it when people do this. People get mad at me for admitting Shu into the left, which is insane for so many different reasons. One of which being I don't have that power. Second of which being I'm the most controversial person on the entirety of the online left, and therefore I have no idea what my word on this would. Yeah, okay. What they actually seem to mean is, like, they're mad at me for getting along with her. I genuinely don't know what the criticism actually is supposed to mean. Focus on criticizing the ideas, not people's imaginary participation in some kind of, like, walled off section of online political discourse.
Probably on account of the whole, I don't know, socialism thing. The whole being a socialist might get in the way. But more important,
You're not a Shu. You're not a Shu. You're a social democrat, you liberal.
like, I don't know, what about me calling shit like this out makes me not left-wing? It genuinely feels like some massive psyop. Like, I want workers' rights and for people to have their basic necessities met. I didn't sign up for this weird-ass shit.
Okay, remember what I said about there being a difference between one's political beliefs and the outcomes of those political beliefs? I'll give you another example in another historical situation that we're probably not that familiar with so that I can break up the mold a little bit, okay? Nazi Germany, okay? Now, as you all know, there are a lot of wealthy capitalist bankers out there who do lots of bad stuff, aren't there? Oh, we lefties sure do know it. Oh boy, do we hate our wealthy capitalist bankers. Now, if you can imagine such a thing, I think it might actually be a little bit irresponsible if one was a popular, publicly powerful leftist in, say, 1933 Germany, to put long screeds out there on how the German people are being exploited by the wealthy elite and bankers, how the German worker is being exploited by the robber baron, the plutocrat, and then immediately put your hands in the air and go, whoop, I'm not looking at the comments, I'm not responsible for anything anyone says, goodbye. And then when, I don't know, Jews go up to you and they're like, hey, Shu, what the and you look at them and you're like, what? I can't, what, you have a problem with me calling out big banks, you know? Sorry, you have to keep an eye on the times, okay? Nobody is impressed with anyone's ability to be just, like, nominally progressive. There's nothing in the world less impressive than saying that you're pro-women's rights or pro-socialism. Oh, you've said it? Oh, you've said... Oh, that's great. You've said you're progressive? Oh, what, is this like a male feminist thing? You know what I mean? Like, oh, you've said you respect women's rights? Here's my glistening pussy, all right? No. The actual cool thing that you can do is do progressive things. Do socialist things. Affect outcomes in that fashion. Make the world more this, you know? So ultimately, even if what you're doing and saying is in line, you know, generally, with what a progressive might do or say, if the outcomes of those behaviors are an emboldening of a Nazi moral panic, then it doesn't matter. You understand? You all have to. This isn't just consequentialism, by the way. This is not like an esoteric, hyper-specific, like moral framework that only I subscribe to. Like, deontologists also subscribe to this belief. The idea that, like, it's not just about how, like, what you say you are, but what you actually do, the outcomes you bring about. And I have to hold you to those standards. Because we all do. We already hold each other to these standards. We already do that. I mean, I can bring this back to the most simple possible example to explain how psychotic this would be, okay? Imagine that you have a roommate and a friend. They're the same person. You're friends with the roommate. And you enter the kitchen while they're cooking. And you know, they're making like something, they're pulling something out of the oven, and you walk in and you say, "Oh, hi, friend," but because you turn the corner too sharply right as they're getting up with the thing they got out of the oven, you end up hitting them in the shoulder, causing them to drop. I don't know, boiling hot like lasagna. Yeah, lasagna. They shatter the glass, it hits their foot. 400-degree lasagna gets everywhere. Broken glass all over their foot. Third-degree burns. Dinner is ruined. Everything is okay. Now, obviously, you got to go to the hospital for this. That's gonna hurt, you know. And they're in the hospital, you know, and you follow along, whatever. And they're there, you know, their foot's got bandages, and they're like, "Don't you have something you want to say?" And you're like, "What?" And they're like, "You hit me. You hit my shoulder. You made this happen." And you're like, "I waved my arm to say hi to you. I didn't mean to knock the lasagna." And they're like, "Okay, I know you didn't mean to, but like," and you're like, "What did I do? You have a problem with me waving hi to you? Should I not wave hi at you in the future? Like, what do you have an issue with that? Should I stop doing that? Is that what you want from me? Do you think I'm making a joke? That's exactly what's happening here. With no exaggeration. This is literally a one-to-one comparison. There's actually no difference. The only distinction here is that the behavior Shu's engaging in is abstracted because it's so much bigger. It's more widespread. It's harder to immediately quantify, but it is the exact same logic. Now, interpersonally, you would think the person, that guy who hit your shoulder, you would think they're kind of a psycho. The way they're like reframing your upsettedness with the consequences of their behavior as like an attack on them. That's like really psychotic behavior interpersonally. Here, I guess it's just standard politics, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to call it out.
I'm just so tired of like trying to prove to these people that I'm left-wing. I'm just tired of being like, no, you don't understand. I voted for Bernie in 2016 and in 2020. I believe this and I believe that. I'm tired. I'm too old for this shit. I am exhausted.
Do you think there might be something you're doing that constantly sows doubt to this effect? I mean, like, leaving aside the enabling of the far-right moral panic and the constantly fraternizing with far-right people, that photo with Blake Masters framing his like insane policy as like single income pilled or whatever,
These people just want me to be some like progressive little shit lib rising from the ashes of like the anti-SJW world. They want me on my hands and knees groveling and apologizing for making like stupid level 1 baby edgy jokes about attack helicopters.
No, that's not what's happening here. They're not mad at you for making attack helicopter jokes in 2015. They're mad at you because a month ago, less than a month ago, an existing far-right moral panic that everyone knows exists, including you, that poses a real threat to the lives of millions of people, was emboldened and empowered by something that you accidentally did. I don't think Shu posted the Balenciaga shit with the intention of enabling the far right. Personally, I think that's a ridiculous accusation. I don't believe that at all. I think Shu did something that if given the opportunity, I would have done the same, and she just took no accountability after the fact, no matter how it went, you know? It's not like I don't say that ultra-wealthy people are pedophiles. I do! I say that! I don't disagree with her on that. I do think the Balenciaga shit is weird. The initial behavior on her part, the posting the Balenciaga stuff, I don't think that's wrong. It led to a bad outcome, yes, but the initial action, the initial intent, the drive to do that, I don't think those things are wrong, and I'm not criticizing her for it. I'm criticizing her for everything that has happened since then, not helicopter jokes. I mean, she can't make that criticism of me because I obviously don't have an issue with edgy helicopter jokes. I vomit slurs when given the chance.
5 years ago. They want me saying we need to destigmatize pedophilia or want me sipping for the
Shu, I would really appreciate it if you would not frame the left's position on you as wanting you to destigmatize pedophilia. It'd be very cool if that was not the characterization of the left that you made, i.e. further emboldening the far-right perspective on, like, framing. Who said that? I'll tell you who said that. This was an argument between Shu and Hunter Avallone a little while ago. I don't remember all the details, but the basic gist is this, okay? So I'm going to skip past all of the wheedling and all the explanation. I'm just going to say this very factually, okay? If you want to protect kids, you want pedos to go to therapy. Simple as. If you disagree with that, it's because you are either pro-pedophilia or yourselves a pedophile. We all know that actual pedophiles, like those lolly shits on Twitter, love calling other people pedos because, you know, if the finger's pointed away from you, it's not pointed at you. If you want to stop children from being harmed, you want pedos to go to therapy. Some people have said, and I think there is some truth to this, that the hyper-punitive attitude that people have online where they're screaming, kill all pedophiles, kill all pedophiles, kill all pedophiles. Well, you know, again, it's inspired by good intentions, might lead to an attitude where it discourages pedos from going to therapy and therefore increases the number of children harmed. I don't know how much data there is on this specifically, but I do think whatever outcomes leads to pedophiles going to therapy is the best one. You know, like whatever leads to that outcome is the one that harms the least children, objectively. I'm not arguing on this. That is a fact. If you disagree, it's because you want to rape children or want to watch other people rape children. Could be either, you know? So, Hunter made the points that I just made. I don't know if he made them in the same way. I don't know how eloquently he made them. I don't know if he framed them in between a bunch of insults against Shu. I assume he did because he really doesn't like Shu. I think that is what Shu is referring to here. It might have been other things in line with that. I want to be clear here, seen in my entire life very, very few instances of people on the left actually enabling pedophilia. I know that plenty of far-right websites, like 8chan, are literal dens of child pornography, or at least were. I know that a lot of far-right people in politics seem to have weird associations with pedophiles or with pedophile-adjacent politics. I know they seem to be rather keen on pedophilia in a lot of weird ways. I know that overwhelmingly the lolicon accounts on Twitter are far-right. Every time I see this crop up in any systemic fashion, you know, it seems to be right adjacent. I also know that the right is currently embroiled in a campaign to prevent child sex education from being offered in any schools across the country, which would dramatically increase children's vulnerability to. Additionally, conservatives are unquestioningly devoted to the, what would you call, the hegemonic power of the father and of the church, aka the two biggest threats to children. The two biggest threats to children are by far the home and the church. The school runs third, still prominent. If you want to mitigate these factors, you need to promote Me Too kind of stuff, like believe the, believe victims kind of stuff. You know, investigate, take it seriously. You want child sex education so that victims of abuse know what's happening to them, know that it's abuse, understand how to describe that abuse when they talk to authority figures. Stuff like that. Gender imbalances also contribute significantly to predation because a lot of the ways in which young boys and girls are preyed upon align with gender stereotypes. The idea that boys always want sex or that girls exist to provide sex, which are fairly common, like, I guess, like, root mythologies about gendered behavior. Like they're like stereotypes, if you know what I mean. These are things that the right basically promote. And it's not a coincidence, by the way, that anytime you see a news story where it's like banging 27-year-old teacher has sex with 12-year-old male student 18 times in 1 week or whatever, because the news media never calls that rape. That there are a bunch of guys in their mid-30s with receding hairlines and sunglasses in their cars for their Twitter avatars going like, dude, where was she when I was young? Those people did not vote for Bernie. Now, am I saying that there's a direct connection between conservatism and pedophilia? Yes, I am saying that. So, Shu, cut this shit out.
The CIA or whatever the f these people are up to nowadays. And it's like, no, not gonna happen. Sorry. What's so funny is a lot of these content creators do agree with me, but they won't say so in public. Like, they DM me and they're like, oh, you're so right. Instead of just doing it publicly because they fear their own audiences. It's literally so sad. It's like an abusive relationship.
This does happen, and it has happened to me from other people, but she's wrong on this one, so I hope that she's wrong when she says this. I hope she's over-exaggerating.
But I just want to go back to the more important, less personal aspect of this whole thing, and that is the connection between pedo and LGBT. So of course there are
Okay, let's see where it goes.
a lot of people on the right wing who are comparing the two. They have been doing this since the 1950s. The pedo smear has been thrown at gay people for decades. There's always been people on the right who will compare all the things I talk about, like the maps and stuff, to gay people. But it's very clear from my content, if you've watched my content, which I really don't think a lot of these people who are mad at me have done, it's very clear from my content that I've always pushed back on this. But what is new to me is now liberals coming out and saying I can't talk about this stuff, and that talking about it is somehow inherently anti-gay, which when you think about it is really, really bad.
Okay, so she goes right back into the far right framing here. Okay, so we have 20 seconds of, hey, I've always pushed back on the idea that queer people are pedophiles, but also liberals can't even talk about pedophilia because of all the gay people. Okay.
Shu has never been a leftist. She's a right-wing reactionary trad wife who has an unhealthy obsession with making false equivalences between LGBTQ people and pedophiles. So first of all, let's be very clear here. I have been doing the opposite of this my entire career. This has been one of my focuses on this channel for years. And do you know what one of the core messages of a lot of those videos were? They are now trying to squeeze themselves into the LGBT community. And do not be mistaken, the LGBT community ain't having that shit. You cannot sit with the LGBT community.
You can't sit with us!
And for the people who go, must slippery slope, you're fueling the delusions that they did actually successfully break their way into the community.
So I want to be clear here, and a lot of people in chat don't seem to get this, but when I opened this video by saying that Shu is legitimately progressive, I meant it, and this is not being... My opinion on this is not changing. She has always been consistent in this position. Again, but it's not about what you believe, is it? It's about the outcomes of your behavior. And everyone who criticizes her on other grounds, you're missing the point. You're still missing the point, guys. This is why I am where I am, and this is why all of you are 24/7 sucking my cock and donating to me. Thank you. The whole point of this criticism is that it's not about her positions. It's about her reflexive inability to take responsibility for the outcomes of what she does, her constant palling around with the far right and apparent unwillingness to hardcore go after them outside of like vague denunciations, and the fact that she will always spend most of her energy targeting the people who are critiquing her the most, which means that because the right knows that she's a phenomenal on board for them in a lot of instances, she will always be arguing with the left, criticizing the left, framing the left's attacks against her as some kind of attempt to silence her free speech or some puritanical, tenderqueer, woke scold effort to crack down on her and fit her in a box or whatever. The insane expectation that she not contribute to a far-right moral panic. But these aren't about her positions. They're about her behaviors. This is one of the reasons why you guys need to be careful when you make these criticisms. It's not just about me and my irritation. It's that there are a lot of Shu fans out there whose positions here are reinforced by your inaccurate criticisms. When you might have noticed that about a third of this video by runtime is people making attacks on her positions rather than her behavior. There's a reason she chose those comments. It's because those are the ones that she not only thinks look the worst when framed in the video, those are the ones that are wrong. And her audience knows they're wrong. And because of that, when her audience sees this behavior, they think that it is all just hysteria, that it's attacking her positions, which she has receipts to defend herself against. But I'm attacking her behavior, and I suggest you all do the same.
latching on a movement that is currently, finally, seeing acceptance, which makes them snakes.
There's literally nothing more dangerous about pedophilia than any other sexual attraction when you think about it.
You hear that, guys? There is no difference between an adult consensually having sex with another adult and an adult having sex with a child. Amazing! We learned
Clipped.
so much on this channel.
But right now, since gays and transgender people have already
Holy f***, is that Amos Yee? Holy shit! Oh my god, what a blast from the past. This was Carl Benjamin's best friend.
gotten much of their rights all throughout the world, I think it's time for pedophiles to have their turn.
Shut up! Shut up! This right here is what triggers my timbers.
Isn't he in jail now? Yes.
Gay, consenting adults can do whatever they want with other gay, consenting adults. A pedophile's sexuality, children aren't a gender, so it's not a sexuality, but like I've said before, cannot go through with their sick fetish without harming anybody. Speaking as a gay man, I believe we should include the P. To do otherwise is to betray the principles that give us our rights. For the last f***ing time.
You can't sit with us!
My main point in a lot of those videos was, you can't sit with us. Nearly a decade of content.
That is true. Though I will point out, Shu, as long as we're being particular about this, that, and hey, I've watched a lot of your videos. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And I do think you could put a lot more effort into putting forward more systemic solutions to child sexual abuse than just attacking whichever group of people online is trying to promote pedophilia that day. Because that's where you're going to find the big schism with the right. The right likes to talk about pedophiles the same way that murderers in prison do. You ever wonder why child abusers get put in separate wards in prison? Because they get beaten up or killed in the main ward. Do you know why? Because if you're in prison, a lot of these scum, and there are a lot of scum in prison, a lot of f***ed up people, okay? They're not all people who smoked one joint. There are a lot of f***ed up people in there who have murdered, who have f***ed, but they think, you know, at least there's one group of people I'm not as bad as. And that's child abusers. Oh, and don't get me wrong, a lot of the people in prison, not for child abuse, still did child abuse. But hey, at least there's one group they can feel greater than, you know, like one bar they haven't crossed down to. It promotes a sense of moral superiority. Now, you might notice that the promotion of that moral superiority doesn't do anything to protect children. It's purely a mechanism used by horrible people to think, oh, well, I can't be that bad. At least there's someone below me. The far right, they love this shit. They love talking about pedophilia because it serves as a nice, like, morally intuitive palette along which they can paint any moral panic they want. It's very easy. It's very intuitive. But does the right ever concern itself with any behavior that would actually lower the amount of child sexual abuse? No. Quite the opposite. In fact, often they take every possible step to systemically worsen it. These are the people who don't believe victims of sexual abuse. These are the people who don't mind police letting kits build up and never actually get tested. These are people who don't mind, like, the patriarchy at the home, the idea that the father reigns supreme, or you know, the supremacy of the church. Authoritarian ideologies are just naturally more inclined to pedophilia because pedophilia as a behavior is authoritarian, obviously, because it's an adult and a child. That is a very, very, very one-sided power imbalance. If you actually want to help children, you gotta layer this shit in. And you know, Shu, if you want to see who actually cares about pedophilia, talk about Me Too. Talk about child sex education alongside you talking about Twitter pedos. You know who's going to be mad at you for that? It's going to be the conservatives. They're all up with you on the virtue signal, but the moment you get down there and actually propose any policy solutions, you're going to start seeing people accuse you of being woke or of being with them. I'm not saying that you're refraining from doing this up to this point for the most part. I know she's mentioned some stuff from time to time systemically, but not like a full paradigm. I'm not saying you're refraining from doing so as evidence of like a malicious unwillingness to alienate your right-wing audience. This is more sociology oriented, like, you know, systemic analysis stuff. And I understand that doesn't, you know, that's not the same kind of content as like, look at these crazy pedos on Twitter. I get that it's different, but I'm just saying, if this is a priority for you.
Of me going, this is really bad, the LGBT community isn't defending this, only for a chunk of the left to suddenly go, stop right there, Hitler. Shu never seems to go
I'm often saying this.
after right-wing shit. I wonder why that is. Okay, I only make maybe like, what, 5 videos a year? It shouldn't be that hard to go onto my page and scroll and just see this video, which is about exactly that. Like, it's right there. You don't even have to scroll, it's just—
They do, by the way. Female predators and their horny simps, I actually think is a good video, and I would encourage you guys to watch it. Of course, it's not as good as my videos. Nothing is. But it is entirely about the phenomena of like, you know, 28-year-old female teacher student, horny guys in comments freak out. You know, like, yeah, no, that was a good video.
it's right there. Like, I made my Prostasia video about a year ago. Remember my Prostasia video where I exposed some child protection organization? What if I posted that video today? Would I be bombarded with these same people and called a Nazi and a reactionary and whatever? Because the only people that were doing that last year was the organization itself. The pedo organization was calling me alt-right for exposing them.
It's worth noting again that she is framing the left's behavior as taking issue with her accusing wealthy corporate people of being pedophiles. Shu, leftists love calling wealthy, glamour, bourgeois, designer brand affiliated, leaders pedophiles. They love that shit. That's not the issue here. You know that. All of the comments that you've shown in this video have been people accusing you of being right-wing or enabling the right-wing. Not for that, but for what happened after, which you are very weird to not address, to not point out. I don't know anything about the Prostasia shit. I don't know anything about the drama there. Then why didn't they with Balenciaga? You mean Balenciaga, the organization with no tweets that deleted everything off Instagram? What were they supposed to do? What do you mean? Again, like I said, this is a bullshit whataboutism where, oh, I may have done a bad thing, but what about this other institution that did a bad thing? Shu was the person who kicked off the Twitter, the far-right Twitter moral panic shit. She was the person in a position to address and denounce it in that Twitter thread. This video has been framed very dishonestly. Nothing about, oh, well, why didn't Shu protest by sending a letter to Balenciaga after Shu had already made it a far-right moral panic? This doesn't mean anything, okay? It's just a way of deflecting. Don't deflect.
That's you! That's you right now! It's a pattern from Shu that she had for years. Even though she didn't say gay groomer out loud, it can be seen as a dog whistle. Shu may not have said anything about LGBTQ plus people out loud, but we can hear the dog whistle from miles away. Shu knows exactly what she's doing. 31-year-old knows exactly what she's doing. That's the thing.
I don't know, Doe. I know there's a whole thing here. I can't dip my toe in a pool. I gotta jump into a pool. I gotta know.
Not mention gay and trans people. We know that she is thinking it, and so does her audience. It's called a dog whistle. She hides behind technically not saying anything explicit. Stop falling for her dog whistling tactic. Just because she didn't say gay doesn't mean that it's not what she's implying. The sheer amount of people who still don't know that Shu on Head is a dog whistle. Her name is a dog whistle. It always was. It's so funny to me that you can literally breathe and these people will find a way to make it a dog whistle, but a child could be holding a teddy bear in bondage gear in a fashion ad, and they call you a crazy conspiracy theorist for pointing it out. And they love to do this gaslighting shit, right?
Here's another point that I think is interesting. She's cobbled together a couple dozen screenshots of lefties saying stuff she finds disagreeable, some of which I find disagreeable, but some of which I think are on point. But I notice in terms of delusional behavior online in response to her tweets, we are not seeing a compilation of the literal thousands of high-profile far-right accounts that immediately made a link to this and the groomer, drag queen, queer thing. I mean, if we're talking about, anything outside of Shu's personal experiences, like the world outside of her and her life and her head, and, what's actually going on out here that affects people, things that matter. We might note that delusional behavior is a product of those tweets. It's on high, but it's not all coming from the left. In fact, I would say that a tiny fraction of it is. But that's not being shown here. We're delusional, because some people think Shu on Head is a dog whistle, which it's not. It's a reference to an ancient 4chan meme, but that's not a dog whistle. But what about the people with power? What about the people who matter? What about the politicians? What are they saying? Are politicians saying shoe on head is a dog whistle? Probably not. Are politicians saying this is just one more component of how they want to subvert and corrupt our children? Yeah. I mean, Alex Jones brought it up with Kanye West, you know? I mean, this got blown out to the highest possible, just short of Biden coming out and addressing it. I don't know a higher level of social engagement.
They try to make you feel crazy for thinking something like most normal people would think is weird. Literal soup brain. Leather isn't innately related to BDSM. What's wrong with a child seeing BDSM gear? The child does not know it's sexual. What harm comes from this? Who gives a shit, dude? It's a kid holding a teddy bear. How traumatizing. People love to misunderstand fashion. It's so tiring. It's not pedophilia, it's fashion, Mom. Look it up. Is putting a leather harness on a dog BDSM too?
This child is not being mutilated. It is just holding a bear that happens to have a leather strap on it. Petco.com! Oh no, they're selling pedophile wear!
I'm sorry, you can't fool a degenerate. That is a BDSM harness.
Maybe Shoe on Head sees a piece of leather next to a child and starts getting a little, you know, riled up. Maybe it's a little bit of projection on Shoe.
It's very strange that DM's video is being intercut here. The rest of this had everything censored, like every tweet shown. Zan's tweet, everything. I don't know why the clip chimping is happening from here. That seems very strange.
On Head's part.
Oh, you think this looks weird? Well, you must be a pedophile yourself. Wow.
Okay, just to be perfectly clear, okay? I think those Balenciaga photos were sussy. However, no, it's not pedophilic to have a kid pose in a photo and they're holding a bear that has a leather harness. You do no good to children at all. You do literally nothing to help anyone with this, like, ridiculous fear-based, like, moral panic version of looking for it is sussy, but there is a line between, like, sussy and pedophilia. Go back and watch a Cartoon Network show from the 90s, and you're going to find some episodes that are a little sussy. That's not the same as them being promotions of pedophilia. That's the point of sussy. The term sussy, it means suspicious, like, and it's kind of weird. I wonder, that's not the same. Keep that in mind. If we run down this road where it's like anything that's sussy, like it's like the Overton window, anything that's sussy instantly becomes the furthest promotion of the ideology that you think it's sussy with, then Shu, you would be a Nazi. You've spent this whole video arguing that contributing to a far-right moral panic doesn't make you far-right. So trust me, this whole video is you saying, listen, it's sussy doesn't mean I'm far right. So you can't then go like, okay, well, because Demon Mama is pointing out that it's sussy but not pedophilia, that means that Demon Mama is implicitly enabling pedophilia, which she's absolutely not. At least not in those clips. Maybe the rest of the video from which this was cut was her Seek Heiling and promoting pedophilia, but I don't. Yeah, that would be in the other clips.
Got him. This shit went viral on like normie Twitter and Facebook and TikTok. There were like Zoomer girls on TikTok like, oh my god, this shit crazy. For real, this shit not bussin'. And you're over here pretending it's perfectly fine and not weird and only Nazis and pedophiles would have a problem with this. Okay.
See, the nuance in this is being destroyed. Is it okay? So notice how the aforementioned TikTok girl was saying that it was sussy. I don't know whether Demon Mama said sussy. I think Demon Mama is just pointing out that, like, it's not like a giant branded stamp saying this is the pedophilia. Again, I really want it to be noted here that no child's life has ever been improved. No child has ever been protected from sexual abuse with hyper fastidious scrutinization of this stuff and, like, leading moral panics against it. I think generally the best way to handle stuff like Balenciaga is to literally, I think the most moral thing that you can do with the Balenciaga situation is for the entire world to do this. At Balenciaga. No far-right moral panic. No, like, insane, this means that QAnon is real, actually. This is what I want. I think this is literally, like, the morally correct way to handle it. Just because that's what sussy means. Yeah, you go, hey, Balenciaga. And if you want to, like, force them to make a corporate apology or whatever, f it, do it. I love corporate apologies, you know? However, a far-right moral panic happened. It's still happening. And ignoring that and pretending that this is just some like lefties defending Balenciaga shit is highly irresponsible.
Just reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. Balenciaga better be paying you people good, because if
The papers of the See, that's the shit that I mean, Shu. The papers of the CP case were more than sussy. This is a bit dishonest regard. No. I'm talking about the kids with the teddy bears. The CP or the CP court document on the desk was mega sussy or super sus, in my opinion. I think that goes from sus to super sus. That's where it goes, I think. So, you know. Yes, a sus squared, if you will. It's very strange. Okay, that's fair. Thanks for clarifying. Okay, gotcha, yeah. Sus squared, yeah.
if they're not, that's even more pathetic. They should at least throw you like one of those $3,000 high-heeled Crocs or whatever the f. Like the brand itself even admitted it was weird, yet you're over here running defense for them for free. Even more annoying than the guest.
I really think that Demon Mama is just more concerned with the way people are taking it to like an insane, like what Demon Mama is trying to do there is not defend Balenciaga. Demon Mama doesn't care about Balenciaga. What Demon Mama cares about is us reaching like a satanic panic level of paranoia in this country from the far right, where anytime they don't like any institution or group of people, they can immediately find something pedophilic adjacent about them by way of making literally everything pedophilic. Like the way the far right will take a look at a drag show and go like, look at this, there are children in the audience. And you look at the video and it's a person wearing twice as much clothing as I or Shu am right now, just like doing a little dance then leaving. Like literally 50 times more clothed than what you can see at the beach. And the problem is, if you cede that ground to them, if you cede that ground of hyper-paranoia, you're still enabling the far-right moral panic. And again, none of this has anything to do with protecting children, because it's not. The far-right is using this as a way of continuing their attack on queer people. And for a lot of people, this is just like a speculative, like an interesting, wacky thing that's happening. You know, there's obviously a lot of like normie intrigue and how goofy this all is. But it's not about protecting children. And I don't think there's anything wrong with Demon Mama pointing out that we're like reaching pretty ludicrous levels of paranoia, you know? Like I'm trying to think of like, okay, I'm just going to share this little story because I've read up on it recently because of what I've been playing video game-wise. Doom. Okay? Now, the original Doom came out, I think, in 1993. The original Doom was, like, basically the first modern first-person shooter. It was revolutionary for its time, and in my opinion, still a very good game. Now, keep in mind that throughout the 1980s, we were experiencing a level of satanic panic where there was legitimately, this is not a joke, this was not like a made-up thing in media. People aren't exaggerating when they say this. Suburban white moms who felt that if you played hair metal rock and roll backwards on like cassette or records, that you would get messages from Satan, or that like heavy metal bands would encode satanic messaging into the song if played backwards. This led to discourse in Congress. No, that's not a joke. The satanic panic was psychotic. And you're right. Iron Maiden released a song called Number of the Beast. Now imagine a shoe on head back then, okay? You can't deny it's sussy, right? Like, you know those satanic types are all into pedophilia, then Iron Maiden releases a song called Number of the Beast. Like Balenciaga. They're doing a wink, wink, nudge, nudge at the audience. Now, I think there is a critical difference here. The critical difference being that even if you were unironically worshiping Satan, I think that's fine, I guess, if you want. Whereas if Balenciaga is unironically promoting pedophilia, that is absolutely not okay. But in terms of the paranoia, it motivates the same kind of behavior. See, when Doom came out, this was around the time that people in Congress were talking about passing laws to ban violence in video games, right? What was his name? Jack Thompson? They were talking about how, like, Mortal Kombat was too violent because, what was his name? Sub-Zero had a finisher where you'd rip your head out and the spine would dangle. And Doom comes out, And Doom is a game which you'd think Christian conservatives would like it because it's literally about killing demons in hell, you know? But for some reason they didn't. They thought this was deeply satanic. Now, there is a very strong cultural association in the American Christian far right between Satanism, pedophilia, homosexuality, and transgenderism. A promotion of any of these things is seen as an adjacent position to the rest of them. This is a really, really common pattern when it comes to how these moral panics develop. That's why when Balenciaga is accused with like pedophilia shit, immediately the far right jumps in to tie it to Satanism and queer people, gay and trans people. That association is politically advantageous to them because it's really easy to motivate these zealous far right religious groups if you're connecting things they don't like already to Satan. And a lot of them already think that being trans means that you've been infested by a demon. There are a lot of religious fundamentalists out there. Look, the point that I'm getting at here is that what Demon Mama was doing there, what it's important that we all do, is not bite the bullet. Don't give in. Do not let the far right elevate you to a level of paranoia where you are always willing to take the worst interpretation, the least charitable interpretation of everything that happens. Don't let like every bit of media you come across instantly signal in your mind a threat of some kind of grand conspiracy. Because look, the real shit that f***s over the world isn't a conspiracy. The accumulation of capital in the hands of a smaller and smaller group of people, that's not a conspiracy. That's not a bug. That's a feature, okay? The political system's corruption, lobbying, this isn't, you don't have to be an expert to figure this out, you know? Do conspiracies happen? Yes. Should we pursue, like, understanding them to the best of our abilities? Yes. But not off of, like, oh, sure, the far right's doing a moral panic, but, like, you know, somebody's got to hold Balenciaga to account. Nothing is going to happen here, okay? And so many more people's lives could be saved with more responsible behavior. And, frankly, a lot of people are going to get hurt if you're in a mind state where you see Doom, where you see a Iron Maiden album, and your first thought is like, oh, well, you know, maybe it's not that, but like, whew, that's pretty bad, isn't it? Huh? Well, And then somebody else is like, dude, I think Number of the Beast is just a song. I think they were just being edgy. And you're like, wow, you're defending Iron Maiden? Whoa, cool, wait, great. So you're fine with Satanism? It's just a very reflexive and reactionary, like, tendency. Again, I want to indicate that I'm not comparing the accusations of satanic worship to accusations of pedophilia in terms of the severity of those behaviors if they actually did take place, only in the mentality that people have, because keep in mind, to a religious conservative, worshiping Satan and raping children actually is about on the same level. And they sure act like it. And yes, the far right did, in fact, make an effort to call Balenciaga satanic. They did so with, like, a Taylor Swift blood-coated image done for a promotional bit. They did it, I remember seeing, a woman did it with whether or not Balenciaga means Baal is king. I think this was Jordan Peterson's daughter who said this. Luxury brand Balenciaga has been the focus of outraging conspiracy theories. Controversy says Balenciaga says... Some connect the dots to Balenciaga to Baal, an ancient Canaanite god of fertility. A widely viewed Instagram post made an attempt to be the Republican candidate to represent Tennessee's 5th congressional district. Claimed the following: do Google Translate from Latin to English. I did it myself. The depths of evil surrounding the Balenciaga story just get deeper and darker at every turn. Starbuck, that's his real name, wrote on Instagram. Be careful. You change nothing with this Balenciaga shit. The only actual outcome you can have in the world is enabling an ideology that does lead to the harm of more children.
Gaslighting has to be the whataboutism. I see whataboutism all the time when I make content. When I talk about police brutality, what about violence against police officers? When I talk about men being cringe, what about women being cringe? When I talk about women being cringe, what about men being cringe? You can always tell when someone doesn't really have a point or they are low-key defending the thing you're talking about when they do this what about shit. And every time you want to talk about weirdo shit involving children, there's like 12 motherfuckers that crawl out of a rock like, notice how they never talk about child beauty contests. All this political theater from you, yet not one mention of banning child beauty pageants. All this outrage, but nothing about child beauty pageants. Oh yeah? You're talking about this bad thing? What about this other bad thing?
In this case, I don't actually think this is whataboutism. Shu has been pretty vocal about being like an anti-pedophile YouTuber. Great thing to be, by the way. Nice job with that. But the ways in which you conduct your behavior in that line do matter, especially if it's something you have like a recurring engagement with. And again, Shu has called out, at the very least, if not the child beauty pageants, behavior adjacent to it. I think the underlying question from these people are, why the is it that you keep finding ways to pursue your anti-pedophilia, like conspiracism that embolden the far right? Or maybe not keep finding, but in this instance certainly are. It's more like, how have you have to carve a jigsaw puzzle piece to fit it in like this. Like, how do you attack a multi-billion-dollar corporation with a conspiracy that ultra-wealthy people are pedophiles in a way that somehow manages to fully fit within a far-right conspiracy that is ongoing and currently one of the main focuses of the entire political... This isn't niche, you know? It's literally the entire foundation of current political discourse is trans, drag queen, groomer, discourse, pedophile, whatever, degeneracy. The whole thing, the day after the shooting at the club, done by a guy motivated by the ideology of the people who would then go on to like and retweet your post. How can you not know? This wasn't exactly out of left field. Again, I don't think posting it initially was inherently bad, but like this, the Twitter thing on its own, I might have watched this video and taken an entirely different side of things. I didn't know if this video was going to be more like apologetic, or I don't even care about apologies. I don't want apologies. What I want is like, hey, followers of mine, hey, okay, so some lefties were mad at me. Do you want to see how like 80 billion Nazis want you dead because you're bisexual? Hey, does everyone want to see how like my totally innocent post about like wealthy pedophiles ended up getting turned into a far-right moral panic? Do you want to see? But that's not what this video is about. That's what the world is about. That's what's happening in the world. But this video is about Shu's specific grievances, which for some reason happen to be with powerless people online who are upset with her for enabling Nazis and not with the Nazis herself or themselves. I don't think Shu's a Nazi.
Beauty pageants. Oh yeah, you're talking about this bad thing? What about this other bad thing? What is it, the all lives matter of f***ing pedophilia? Multiple things can be bad at once. But it's not 2005. We're not middle-aged mothers from the South. Nobody is out here defending child beauty pageants. This is so weird because Shu has talked about...
True, but there's also nobody out there attacking them, at least not from the right. That's the point that person was making. There aren't people out there actively defending. I mean, I'm sure there are some, but that's not like an active media thing. It's more that the right, for some reason, is only interested in accusing, like, events or institutions of being pedophilic if they're queer. Like, entirely. Like, that is literally the only time it comes up. The only time they accuse teachers of being groomers is when they have blue hair. Literally. Like, guys, there are hundreds of thousands of teachers in America and a lot of students. A lot of students, children, are preyed on by teachers. Does the right have a moral panic every time a straight adult teacher has a relationship with a student? No! They don't pay any mind to that. They don't care. This doesn't get brought up in the media circuit. They get angry when Libs of TikTok posts a video of a 30-year-old blue-haired kindergarten teacher who says that she thinks children should be able to express themselves in class. Literally. That's the issue here. It's not about what they defend. It's what they're curiously quiet about and what they attack.
About kink and BDSM in her videos before. She's a hypocrite. I could be wearing a full BDSM harness right now. I could be wearing a full GIMP suit, but it would not matter because my content is not made for children. I am an adult.
Well, kids watch your content. Kids watch both of our... Literally, like, thousands and thousands of people under 18 watch both of our videos. We're on YouTube. That's an unavoidable component of being on YouTube, I think.
Who makes content for adults. You either have a room temperature IQ or you're coping. Shu is Catholic, but never calls out the pedophilia of the Catholic Church. Has June ever talked about pedophilia in the church? I can't find her mentioning it. And again, these people don't watch my content. Hell, I even had a joke about it in my Prostasia video. It's literally tax exempted. It is a tax exempted pedophile club. So it's a church. Also, hold on. Remember Cuties? Remember when Cuties came out? Cuties,
I remember. That was discourse.
which, much like the Balenciaga thing, had nothing to do with LGBT people. And like a dozen articles came out from liberal journalists about how like everyone criticizing it is alt-right. Cuties.
No, I don't remember that. I remember everyone condemning Cuties except for like a couple of people. Was there a huge wave of left-leaning people who came out to defend it? You might have seen some film critics defending it, but most film critics are going to be liberals because media critique and media production and journalism and art critique in general are predominantly occupied by liberals because conservatives are incapable of art critique. I don't think there was like any broad political defense of Cuties from the left, or even a minor one. Sneeko and Mr. Girl? Yeah, there you go. The vanguards of the left.
The extraordinary Netflix debut that became the target of a right-wing campaign. The controversy surrounding it seems to be propaganda fueled by non-types and anti-Semite.
366 retweets and quote tweets and comments. 81 likes.
Audiences hate it because there's a moral panic right-wing campaign.
Literally 0 likes on this one. Very interesting how Shu remembers this as liberal journalists. Did Sneeko really defend? Did Sneeko really defend Cuties? Because Sneeko, before he got banned, had like more than 500,000 YouTube subs, which would probably make him more prominent than anyone else who liked or defended it. Is Sneeko going to come up? Are we going to get a video clip of a conservative supporting Cuties? Or is it going to be 0 like random tweets that could be from anyone?
Targeting it. Wrong. Leftists like Shoe on Head and Vosh are critical of the film.
That's me! That's me!
Shoe on Head is a notorious alt-right asshole. Also, you just tagged 2 aggressive, horrible accounts. Please delete that tweet. You're putting people on the thread at risk.
And was
Okay, that's pretty funny. I appreciate that.
Cuties not basically beauty pageant shit? It had nothing to do with gay people. And once again, we were calling it out. And where were you? Calling us f***ing Nazis. It doesn't—
No! Shu! Shut the f*** up, bitch! Stop with this! Stop with this narrativizing. What is this insistence on framing it like the left is constantly trying to keep you from... Stop! Stop doing that! Why? Why do this? You know this is a disingenuous... If Sneeko really... Here's the Sneeko video on Cuties.
Wanted to get canceled. This is the video.
Cuties is my new favorite film from Sneeko Reuploads after his channel got taken down. There we go. This guy... Okay, hey, if you want some good material for who is defending Cuties, you've got a tweet with 0 likes, and here is a convenient re-upload from a YouTube account of a Nazi. He's friends with Nick Fuentes, who got banned from YouTube. And he liked it. Stop framing this like the liberal... This is what you're doing, Shu. You're doing the far-right moral panic. You might say, oh, you know, I don't think gay people and pedophiles are aligned. But then you say, yeah, but the liberals keep getting really angry at me whenever I call out pedophilia. It's very strange. And you're then doing the thing. On all the right-leaning people are just like, they take away from that. They're just like, oh, Shu's so nice to those degenerates. Well, even she sees it, right? You are doing the exact same thing. It is indistinguishable from somebody doing the like, oh yeah, you know, I don't think that black people are inherently inferior, but, you know, like, isn't it crazy how the liberal media freaks out whenever you bring up race and IQ differences? You're doing the same thing. You're doing the thing. You might not be doing it deliberately, disingenuously, but the outcome is identical. Yeah, Sneeko had like 1 million subs too. Wasn't just Sneeko, Matt Binder. Oh yeah, Matt Binder did defend this as well. Yeah, throw Matt Binder in there as well. Binder? No, Binder. That was right. Sneeko and Binder, allies. I just want to see them next to each other. Holy shit, these accounts are from, or these tweets are from 2020? Oh my god, it was all so long ago. Didn't Matt Walsh defend cuties too? We can probably assume that Matt Walsh has jerked off to cuties. Probably not a good idea to call her a bitch while the community has a sexism problem. Don't you woke scold me, Thana. But sure, fine. The community does get really weird about her. No, chat, Samson, you can ban the other people doing it.
Matter. It doesn't matter if it's gay or straight. It doesn't matter if it's a giant corporation or a Netflix movie. They will find a way to call me alt-right for talking about this shit. The absolute urgency and ease at which these people jump on the most optically disastrous swords is both horrifying and incredible to me. The term MAP went from something on Tumblr that I talked about 7 years ago to now real hired academics using the term.
Stigma against MAP.
Okay, let me try to put this forward. There's a really good Big Joel video on this on Shu. Okay, let me how do I put this in a way that like is really clear and even people who are maliciously trying to misinterpret me don't get it, okay? Cuties. Cuties, I haven't seen it, okay? I've heard other people describe it. As I understand it, Cuties has some very like explicit depictions of like young girls dancing in like a creepy way, framing wise. Like not just the movie says, oh yeah, in the other room there are some little girls dancing real weird like, you know, but more like they show it for like a long time. Made me sick when I saw the clips. See, Last Wish 16, chat pedophile saw the clips, they agree, we're over it. So here's the thing, okay? Who made Cuties? Was it a secret Epstein 2? Was it Epstein 2.0? No, actually. It was it seems like it was a lady who was trying to use the the explicit depiction of that content as a way of artistically framing how bad and destructive it can be, like the exploitation shit. Yeah, French people are built different, and by different I mean worse. French African woman. Yeah, okay, whatever. The point is apparently that there was like some kind of artistic message there. So here's the thing. I don't actually think that Cuties, at least on that level, I don't think I have any reason to believe that Cuties was made with the explicit intent of promoting pedophilia. That's often not how the world works. Like, there's a lot of stuff in media that's pretty sexist, but I don't think the people who make it are explicitly trying to promote sexism, right? Like, there's a lot of stuff in media that's kind of racist. Like, go back and watch, I don't know, Rush Hour 2 or whatever, you know? Is there some racist shit in there? Go and watch some Bond films, especially the earlier ones, you know? I don't think the explicit purpose of the filmmakers was to promote racism, you know? I just think it was a swing and a miss. I think it was a big L. I think it was big sussy. I think it was mega, you know, The Rock, boom, Vine noise, you know, raised eyebrow. And I think that sometimes that the discourse around that can be really revealing about the people who are actually bad. You know what I mean? Like Mr. Girl, you know? Like people like that. So the content itself, you can hate it, you can dislike it. I think that's fine. From what I've heard, the content of Cuties is disgusting. There was an effort made, but that doesn't mean it worked, you know? That doesn't mean it played out. But I usually think stuff like this is most interesting in the reactions that it prompts from people, right? So, for instance, some people on social media are like, yeah, I love Cuties because I like it. That's gonna get clipped. They say they like Cuties because they like looking at the girls dancing or whatever. That's a big mega sussy Vine boom, The Rock eyebrow raise, big boom Vine sussy, right? You can get them for that, you know. Play the clip, the SWAT team busted in, you know. What's the song they play? What's the song they play when they do that? When, you know the clip when the SWAT team busts in. What? I thought I had it all together. Yeah, that one. In. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, you know that one. Right. Okay. Do that. Great. And there are people who are going to defend Cuties on its artistic merits. I don't think that makes them inherently pedophilic. Maybe they have a point in the sense they can say like, okay, well, I agree that's bad, but there's some other stuff. Maybe they have a different perspective. The point that I'm trying to get at here is like, it comes down to the moral panic thing, where oftentimes you're actually enabling the worst people when you jump in on the easiest moral explanation for any feeling that you have. It's kind of like how a lot of people criticize me for jumping to call everyone a Nazi. Now, when I do that, I'm right to, and the people who criticize me are wrong. But if we imagined for a moment that they weren't wrong, that they actually had a point, which they don't, you could make a fair argument that if I called literally everyone who disagreed with me, everyone, a Nazi no matter what, and I just laid that out there with no like explanation or contextualization, I might actually be making it a lot harder to find out who is actually a Nazi, right? Because I'm kind of cheapening the term a little bit to the point where I'm not giving it any like meaning. I'm sort of like removing from it any actual descriptive power. You know what I mean? Much in the same way, I worry about the way discourse like this gets handled. Or to put it another way, Matt Binder defended cuties. Do I think Matt Binder is a pedophile? Like, I don't know, Mr. Girl? No. Because I'm willing to be more charitable than that. And I don't think it helps anyone to pretend that that's like the reasonable thing to jump to. And Shu's insistence on not just jumping to that, but more like Shu's framing of people being nuanced as meaning they're the farthest like into the wrong that they can be is a fundamentally oh god, I've been talking for too long. Fundamentally reactionary tendency. And do you know why I know that? Because Shu has spent the entire video critiquing other people for doing this. Dozens and dozens of messages where her central criticism is they're misframing what she says and what she believes by taking some behavior that she's engaged in, assigning meaning to it, and going way off the road with it. If she wants to call the people of Balenciaga pedos, I legit don't care. Go for it. I did the same. If she wants to imply that Demon Mama is defending pedophiles, I think that's pretty fucked up. I think that's fucked up, and I think it's morally wrong. You've already got a video here that does literally nothing to address or rebuke the far-right framing. You have one person here who's shown in their entirety, and it's Demon Mama, a trans woman, and then you accuse them of holding water for Balenciaga and, like, essentially promoting or defending pedophilia. All right. Let's finish the video. Demon Mama doesn't deserve this shit. No, Demon Mama doesn't deserve this shit. Look, I guess the only thing I'll say, if Shu wants to fundamentally reject the concept of consequences, like fully, it's just my behavior and my intention with nothing else, then she has no business talking about politics in any context. And what's more, if she's willing to jump to like, oh yeah, Zan's criticizing me, though his name at least was censored, as a bad faith attack. He was my friend, but now he's defending Balenciaga, defending pedos. Demon Mama's defending pedos, you know. If you're going to do that, then you really can't complain about people calling you a Nazi, because you're engaging in like more frivolous bad faith accusation throwing than they ever could with their far more incisive and thoughtful criticisms of your behavior than you can muster of them.
Ago to now real hired academics using the term.
Stigma against MAPS is a problem in part because it makes MAPS think that they're monsters. That's really problematic in terms of MAP well-being. It's really hard to cope when you think you're a terrible person because you have attractions that you can't change.
And I'm a licensed professional counselor and sex therapist in Erie, Pennsylvania. And today I want to talk about minor attracted persons. Most folks are making incorrect assumptions about them without actually knowing much about them. And those assumptions create harm for an already marginalized population.
Notice the familiar language they're using. They are co-opting progressive language. And I want the community, I want people in general to get ahead of this. But no, apparently MAP is just a right-wing psyop and I'm just a reactionary and blah blah.
Wait, the MAP thing is a right-wing psyop. You even said that in one of your earlier videos. It literally is. There have literally been like 4chan posts that were highly popularized where they talked about co-opting progressive language as a way of using MAP as like a pseudo-progressive synonym. You've said that. You've said in your videos. Hasn't she? Wait, hasn't she literally said that? Hasn't she said this? That it's a 4chan psyop? I mean, there might be some people who aren't from 4chan who bite in on the language. And I agree that they have the potential to do a lot of harm, but I don't know if what the message here even contradicts what Shu has said.
Blah, blah, blah. I feel like the crazy scientist in the beginning of a disaster movie that nobody believes, and then it's like too late. And what's upsetting to me...
Shu. You are not helping children with this. Focus on systemic critique as a way of supplementing your conspiracy callouts, which I don't think are inherently bad. Also, please do not pretend that you're getting ahead of the map thing as a way of protecting the queer community, of getting ahead of things, when you are participating in and now playing cover for with this video a far-right moral panic. This is not about protecting kids, and it's not about protecting queer people. It's about being the cool conspiracy anti psyop girl. There's nothing wrong with being that chick, but that is what, it's that is the primary motivation for your behavior. That's not wrong. I'm not criticizing that. But you can't pretend this is about protecting queer people.
As a socialist, what's upsetting to me is the progressive movement, or whatever this is, I don't even know what this is, in the near future is going to wind up at the least ignoring and at the most defending some real disgusting shit in the near future in fear of giving the right ammo.
See, this is the moral panic. In name, this is it. This is the content of the moral panic. This is like the, as a leftist, I just think we have a real problem with not acknowledging the fact that actually all these drag shows are pedophilia. You are doing it, but you're doing it from the Dave Rubin thing, where it's yes, as an envoy of the liberal left, I'm here to say we do have some real problems. In a way, it's almost more damaging than if you were explicitly and fully ideologically far right. Because if you were, they would be seen as criticisms from the outside. But now they can point at you and say, look, see, even a lefty like Shu sees that they're enabling pedophilia. And your evidence for that accusation is people getting mad at you for enabling the moral panic to begin with and accusing them of defending Balenciaga because they had a f***ing teddy bear in a harness suit in a controversy that is not going to lead to the protection of a single child.
There are right-wing people who are constantly calling everything and anything to do with pedophilia, gay shit, LGBT shit. Yes, I get it. I have a bi flag in the background of some of my videos, and I get comments like, nice groomer flag. I get it. But how long should we not say anything in fear of giving them ammo? Because this was probably the most clear-cut example of something weird and gross, completely unrelated to gay people, and these people still did damage control for it. If anything,
they did damage control for the far-right people who immediately made it about gay people. You didn't put the Balenciaga tweet out and then immediately a bunch of lefties responded to your tweet. They responded to the far-right jumping on it. The one that you are very, very, very deliberately not acknowledging or describing the extent of.
Would ever give the right ammo, it's the way you acted so quickly to defend this shit. And yes, by implying I can't talk about it, or I'm committing scholastic terrorism, or whatever the f the new buzzword is, that is defending this. This shit that anyone with eyes can see is creepy. I have been talking about this stuff all of my career, and I have a great track record. I was talking about maps years ago, and now there's hired academics using the term. I warned about Amos Yee, who said I was too mean to pedophiles, and he was arrested for having CP. I exposed Prostasia, then they shut down their forum so young maps could no longer enter it. I helped get the word out about this Balenciaga thing, and even the brand itself had to admit it was creepy and is now doing an investigation into it. I don't care if you yourself don't want to talk about this stuff. I don't care. You do you, I will do me. But all I ask is that you stay out of my way when I am doing me. And just know that I am not sorry, I did nothing wrong, and I will do it again. Goodbye. Hello, everyone.
Oh. This is a disgusting video. Nah, it's genuinely disgusting. I can only regard it with malice. This entire video is framed as a from the left enabling of the moral panic that she was accused of enabling to begin with. Okay, let me sum this all up. At the end of the day, if you are a public figure, you are responsible for the outcomes of your behavior. Everyone acknowledges this. Anyone who disagrees is psychotic. I'm going to stop, playing nice with this, okay? Shu, If you believe that you should only be held accountable for the intentions of your behavior, you're a child. And frankly, you shouldn't even be online. In real life, with real people, when we talk, act, behave in any way, we are accountable not just for our intentions, but for what we do. If we intend something, but do something else, this might not always mean we're in the wrong, but we do need to acknowledge it. This video fails to even acknowledge the central premise, the fundamental thing that people are criticizing you for, the fact that this country is currently wrestling with the potential of an undemocratic future that I know you are aware of the potential of because I am friends with you and I have spoken to you. You are aware of the fact that we are currently experiencing the most vitriolic wave of anti-queer legislation and sentimentality yet seen in our lifetimes. And for some reason, in spite of all of this, you cannot even muster an acknowledgement of what people are actually mad at you for. The pretense that they are angry with you for going after Balenciaga is dishonesty on your part. It is a lie, and you know it is a lie, and you are lying deliberately, even if you pretend not to. You know why they're mad. It is not because of what you said, it is because of what it led to and your subsequent behavior. One of the reasons I've been so hesitant to criticize you for this is because I had difficulty really getting angry with you for the initial tweets. You do a lot of objectionable shit. I don't know why Shu is so insistent on palling around with far-right people. I mean, I don't like to criticize people for their personal choices, but at the very least, she definitely has a habit of fraternizing with them, taking photos with Blake Masters. There are a lot of people on the far right who she seems to find, you know, funny little playthings, good people to have around, you know, wacky, interesting. Well, they feel the same way about you, Shu. And in the same way that you used to be friends with Lauren Southern and Blair White until suddenly you very much were not because it was no longer politically expedient for them to associate with you, the far right now considers you useful. Because you are. Because not only will you post something that enables their moral panic, again, we all make mistakes, but you will then go to reaffirm their moral panic in what is, let's be clear, a video that exists to do nothing other than defend your ego and further stigmatize the left, to frame them as defenders of Balenciaga, as unwilling to call out pedophilia. It's so curious how all of your condemnations seem to just weirdly avoid making the right angry, especially when their eyes are on you. I have no idea what kept you from acknowledging the far-right reaction to the tweets of pretending that people like Zan were themselves making up the association with queer people, as though there wasn't, you know, people with tens of thousands of likes in your replies directly making that connotation. I don't know why you would do that outside of dishonesty. I don't know what else would motivate that. I have no idea why you would take a look at all of this and genuinely believe, fully believe that with your power, your priority here was going after the people who are on the target lists of the people who were affirmatively responding to your tweets. I don't know why you didn't reply to those tweets with something else, saying like, why are the far right so agitated about this? These are like billionaires. You should like, hey, tax them more, Lamau. I have no idea why you spent this entire video constructing a narrative in which you are the victim of some kind of protracted left effort to silence pedophiles, as though the left has not been calling people like Matt Walsh a pedophile more loudly than they have ever said anything about anything. Like, you really think the left has an issue with going after pedophiles? Do you seriously, genuinely believe that's a thing that's happening? I don't know why you would frame the whole cuties thing as though like a bunch of liberals came out to defend it, but somehow ignore like a hundreds of thousands of sub YouTuber Sneeko. I actually do. I actually do. I can't believe I've been ignoring it. It's because you're f***ing lazy. It's because you get your info from the people you spend time with, and you spend time with the people who don't criticize you. And the far right is smart enough to bite their tongue and wait, and the left will criticize you day to day for your mistakes. So when you hear about anything, you hear the right perspective on it. You know, you might go out and do subsequent research afterwards, but that initial bias is always laid. It always informs everything forthcoming. So when you think of cuties, you think, oh, that thing a bunch of liberal media people defended. Is that an actual, like, real bias association there? Well, maybe not, but it's what you heard, right? I think a lot of left-leaning people who watch Shu don't really understand. They don't really know how these processes function. But I want to make it clear. There is nothing impressive, progressive, bold, or anti-establishment about leaning on conspiracism, rolling the dice in the wind, and like not caring where they end up. Nothing about any of the videos that she's done on pedophilia are radical or revolutionary. Show them to any politician, any pundit, and you'll have people nodding along. Yeah, pedophilia is bad. Yeah, great, very bold, phenomenal. A statement so uncontroversial and unambiguously agreeable that you could get every prison inmate except the ones at a separate ward to agree with it. Phenomenal. If you want to do something subversive, if you want to challenge power, maybe question yourself, question, why are so many politicians who ostensibly disagree with every policy you have so chummy with you? You know, why are pundits who, for some reason, despite disagreeing with you on every matter you seem to think defines your character and content, they seem to really like associating with you. People who you know are Machiavellian and self-interested when it comes to the people they associate with from prior experience. If you really want to lean in this direction, maybe you should look to the actual ways in which these systems of abuse are perpetrated. Because, you know, there was a lot of sexual abuse in the death camps. And I gotta say, the way things are going right now, Donald Trump calling to suspend the Constitution, the forthcoming legal conservative constitutional theory being one of ignoring the Constitution and promoting dictatorship. Marjorie Taylor Greene, a preeminently popular politician, in spite of being universally negative in every imaginable way, saying that if she had done January 6th, she would have done it with guns and she would have won. You know, if you really want to prevent children from being abused, maybe you should care a little bit more about whether or not the shit you say is going to lead to the emboldening of people who would have built those camps, or will in the future if given the chance. This is a real problem, and I know she knows it exists. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know. I've got it. Second revelation. They're my shoe. 2 shoes. How fitting. I've had a hard time criticizing Shu for a while in spite of a lot of objectionable behavior because I get along with her. So how can I criticize her for doing that with the entire far right? If she blocks me over this, then that's her prerogative. I'm still happy to be friendly with her in private. But man, Jesus Christ. At this point, public association is just opening my own socials up to DMs from the kind of people who would put me to death. Freedom. So Reddit was right? I guess you really don't mess with the Reddit nation? No. My subreddit was entirely wrong and insufferable. I hate all of them, I despised them, and they were wrong. I am always right. I was right here. And the reason why I'm right now and they're wrong is because I'm built different and they're not. They're built the same. Never, ever, never, ever, ever, never, never gonna change. It's always gonna be like this. Follow-up questions, chat, go. This video was malice. I don't know. Frothing from the lips, she takes to her camera and puts the shoe on her head. Forget the far-right moral panic. You know, there are powerless queer people upset with my complicity in their behavior. It'll never be the end. They'll complain until you burn the bridge. Bending the knee to those people will never end respectfully. Oh, that's fine. People who have a problem with who I'm friends with can all die. I genuinely don't care about you people. You're psychotic, parasocial. I don't know why you're vying for my dick, because you'll never get it. You will never taste my load. I don't know what is wrong with you people. I uphold my responsibility as a public figure, time and time again. I am more committed, more consistent, more principled than anyone else in this space. There are so many bread tubers and left tubers who hold their shit in and keep quiet about mutual controversies because they know that they operate best, make the most money as a shared unit. I am the best. I have burnt every bridge, and I will choose to keep the ones, what's the opposite of burnt? Not intact? I will choose to keep those intact that I want. If anyone has a problem with that, that's on them. There is no bridge. You all realize that, right? The bridge doesn't exist. What you imagine the bridge to be, the bridge is just public association. You construct the bridge from your mind. You have no idea who I'm friends with from behind the scenes. I might be friends with Destiny for you all, for all you know. I'm not, but I could be and you wouldn't know it. My best friend, Mr. Girl. You know, you have no idea. Donald Trump, the bridges. You have no idea. Covert bridges. Yeah, only vermin would know. And they'll take that shit to their grave. Excuse me. Vosh, I usually like Shu, but she's talking like she's about to join the Gays Against Groomers group. Her rhetoric is identical to their rhetoric. The Gays Against Groomers leader, that lady, is a Nazi, like an actual Nazi from some of the stuff that got unearthed about her. but all of it's the same. As a gay, you know, I'm just so frustrated by how the queer community refuses. They're so, you know, groupthink. They refuse to call out the threat of grooming, you know? I think somebody needs to, yeah. But I still think the anti-shoe moderates were caricatured despite our measured approach. The anti-shoe moderates were caricatured despite our measured approach, and the mods still banned my post. They should have banned you. You'll be fine. Pack it in, folks. Pack it in. You'll all be fine. Can you imagine? Listen, here's how you gotta feel, okay? In no medium besides live streaming could your whinging ever have any outcome on the effect of a public figure who has hundreds of thousands of people watch them every week, you know? You go to anything else, radio, television, I'm a fucking wall, baby. Here in live streams, all you have to do is create an account and yell at me for a bit. Incredible. What power the audience has. Vosh, I hope this isn't another step towards leftist creators refusing to cooperate against the greater enemy. Oh, if only we were. If Shu does anything noteworthy or praiseworthy, I will praise it. And if she doesn't, I won't. That's always how I've operated. You as a testament to my, let's just say, Buddha-like moral discipline and consistency, did I not compliment Destiny doing the Georgia canvassing? I did, of course, point out that he only did it because, you know, the phantom of a leftist that exists in his mind whispered into it that, you know, he would be triggered if he did go canvass in Georgia, which is true and really did happen. But legitimate praise to the actual act, you know. Even if he's just sort of being blown by the by the wind of spite, you know, if it leads him in a good direction, I think that's admirable and should be celebrated. And I dislike Destiny directly, probably more than literally anyone else online, mostly because he's made such an effort to be a part of my life. It's a proximity thing. Yeah, then he said I should die. Yes. I praise Contra videos, even though she was kind of a bitch to me. I've praised Bad Empanada's old videos. He's insane. What about Hassan? I think Hassan and I are fine against each other. Do you think Destiny only did the canvassing thing out of spite? As is often the case when I make statements like invisible leftist ghost inside of his mind. No, he probably had other reasons for doing it. I do think spite's a strong general motivator, you know? Can't really make a full assessment on any bit by bit. I'm sure he does some things that aren't spite-based. He brushes his teeth, I assume. he's got like a little cutout of a blue-haired lady with like a text box, and it's like, I'd hate it if Destiny brushes his teeth. Destiny never brushes his teeth. And he looks and he's like, yeah. And with the stopper, he'll tell me that I should be dead again. We can't make him too mad. Remember, we're responsible for the consequence of our behavior, and I don't want to be responsible for his blood pressure spiking. Okay. He also had like a 2-minute rant on how you only did the PV22 thing solely for viewers and to overtake them in viewers. It's true. The whole time I had those meetings with the PV22 people, I had my little cutout of Destiny. I'm sorry. It's really silly. He got me. Okay, stop. Come on. We've just given him a month of content. There we go, lads. Not blocked. Not yet, anyway. You praised Hassan when he debated Tate. I praise Hassan a lot. I don't have a problem with Hassan. I don't agree with everything he does, but that's the case for all people. You know, I don't feel that way about anyone.